Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on Discord.
This is Parker, go by One Who Parks on Discord.
And this is Aaron. I go by Treffinwood on Discord.
We are back from St. Louis, just coming from Warfare Weekend. This is announcements. Link in the show notes, and then we're pretty much just going to jump straight into Parker. What we got first?
News!
Hey,
News! Yes.
News.
All right, news today is all about the affiliation list. We got a big ol' update. Not only did all the monsters get put on, but because Mephisto and the Wrecking Crew are added so closely in a time frame, they decided to just... Oh, and Abomination, sorry. All of them. They decided to put them all in the same release. So, Aaron, you have not yet looked at the update, right?
This is a true statement.
Okay, you haven't looked at it either. Okay, so nobody knows, except me, where they put some people. So I am excited to find... I'm excited for you guys to find out live on the cast. Are you ready?
So excited.
Wait. I'm ready now.
Okay. So, I'm going to have you... I'm going to go by affiliation rather than character, okay? And I'm going to tell you an affiliation, got somebody added to them based upon the list of characters that we know, just got added to the game. Who do you think got put into Cabal?
Okay, so hold on. We have the four monsters, Mephisto, Abomination, and Wrecking Crew.
Yes.
There's 7 new characters? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon, you go first with a character in Cabal.
I have to guess Abomination.
You would think that, wouldn't you? Wouldn't that make so much sense?
That's why I guess, yeah.
That is exactly what
The
you and the world would have thought. But nope, Abomination stays far away from Cabal. Strike one. What do you think, Aaron?
We're going to say Mephisto. Mephisto is a very Cabal type.
Yes, Mephisto, Lord of Temptation, is in Cabal. I want to show there are 2 more. Brandon, what do you think?
2 more?
2 more in Cabal. Cabal's getting much bigger. Yeah. 3 total characters added.
Okay. Wrecking Crew?
Yep, Wrecking Crew. Yep, that makes sense. So, Aaron, you get to figure out who else they added to Cabal. I think this is actually a big deal.
Dracula.
Yes.
Yeah, baby.
They added Dracula to Cabal.
Master of Evil.
Yeah. There's no reason why they did this. I can't think of a time when Dracula's ever been part of anything like a Cabal of bad guys in the Marvel Universe. He's almost always an independent or a foil or sometimes a unlikely ally. But he is in Cabal. I think that's very, very, very good for Cabal.
Cabal was hurting so much, so I'm really glad they're able to get a nice 5 threat to use.
Not gonna lie, the 5 threats they had were aged, right? They're a bit aged, like
Loki 2? Yeah.
Loki 2 is not... Yeah, Loki 2 is a great controller, and he's fantastic, great damage, but he's not a swing for the fences kind of character, right? He's not a highly aggressive character. Dracula is. He's all gas. I feel like this is very strong. 7 dice builders, and then his spender can be rerolled twice under Dark Reign. He's just going to remove things, as if they had a hard time with it before.
Yeah.
But the old 5s were MODOK, and their newest 5 was Ultron Metal Tyrant. I think, am I wrong that Dracula is just way better than the likes of Ulik in Cabal?
They do different things. Like, objectively, yes. But, again, pure damage output, Dracula will shine over a couple other models, but he doesn't do movement at all, whereas Ulik moves all the fuck around where he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
So you're obviously going to give up some of the pure damage output for the movement abilities Ulik has access to.
Are you at all interested in seeing him with Red Skull 1 to maybe help a little bit with his movement mechanic?
Maybe. I need to see a bunch more. By a bunch more, I mean more than one, which is the total of games I've seen Dracula in, before I really have opinions on exactly where he slots the best. But I'm not sure Red Skull 1 is going to, by himself, provide enough juice between his leadership and his kit. I'm saying he's an anchor.
Yeah.
Just to bed set how big that anchor is. I don't think that anchor is big as the community writ large thinks it is. I think he is viable, but not top tier competitive. That's just my off the cuff. And the reason I think he's actually viable is because of, damn it, I forget the card name. It's not Cosmic Alliteration, it's Cosmic Invigoration. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that he has access to that card is chef's kiss. Without the card, I think it'd be pretty bad. With the card and his leadership continuing to give Drac and his team the power they need, and his ability to port Drac around. Yeah, there's a list there.
Yeah, if nobody's bleeding around Dracula, he is a little power starved. You can only get it the old-fashioned way by taking damage and dealing damage. So I think that would be useful. That should grease the wheels a little bit. He could also use Blood Feast for 1 and then get the power back if he does damage. Also heal. That'd be interesting. You basically have to kill Drac full to empty. If not, he might just come all the way back all the time.
Yeah, talk about that when we do game recaps.
Getting him to reroll his healing attack is pretty nice too with Dark Rain.
Yeah, absolutely. Mephisto and Wrecking Crew I think are less super exciting. They're fine. I mean, they're good, actually, but I don't know if Cabal really needs them. Let's move on to the next affiliation, unless you guys are really excited to talk about the other two in Cabal. Going once?
No.
Going twice? All right, let's go to the Criminal Syndicate. The Criminal Syndicate. I'm going to start with Aaron this time. Aaron, which character from the 7 do you think...
Crew.
Wrecking Crew? You got one. There's
I feel
more.
Like that's not fair though.
There's more.
Obvious.
Hey, it's not my fault you whiffed on your first one.
I'm sorry that I'm not a stupid AMG dev. I don't know what to tell you.
I think you can figure this out. I believe in you, Brandon.
It's clearly Mephisto because he steals your soul.
You're right. It is. Mephisto is in the Criminal Syndicate.
Really?
You did it.
No. Pause. That was a joke.
I know it was. Isn't that a funny joke that you made true by believing in it?
Maybe I am a stupid AMG dev.
You are a stupid AMG dev. You did it.
Holy fuck. I'm
not lying. This is not a joke. It is true. Mephisto is in the Criminal Syndicate. Finally, a Criminal Syndicate character.
So is there an affiliation that needs characters and gives a shit about them less than Crimson?
Yeah, I know. There is one more, though, Aaron. What's the last one that's going in Criminal Syndicate?
Oh, God, there's another one.
Mm-hmm.
A-Bomb.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now they can play so many 5-cost potatoes.
Reference previous comment.
Yeah.
Again, so Cabal is specifically interesting because of Dark Rain. Otherwise, it doesn't really fucking matter. Like, you can make your core out of anything. You're talking about 5 threats. They never should, unless you're planning some stupid Asgard list, make up the core of what you're bringing every game. Yeah, I'll stand by that. I realize that's not entirely objectively correct, but we'll just go with that for now. So, assuming you're taking a solid core of criminals, the fact that a new one comes in and is Crimson means what? They can pay for all according to plan? They can play cruelty? I mean, like, who cares,
unless they're
right?
going to outthrone the criminals they already have, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, like, it literally doesn't matter who gets put into Crimson at this point unless they come up with a new tactics card.
Yep. You're exactly right. There's one character.
No one's gonna dethrone their 2, their 3, or their 4. Like, it's just not gonna happen. And so, unless they got an absolute rock star 5-pointer, that complete, like, it'd really just be a new leader that isn't Claw.
Yeah, they already have 4. I don't know if they're going to get.
It's just a formality that Claw's even in criminals or a leader.
The Wrecking Crew seems a little interesting with their multiple attacks, and something like Shadowlands Daredevil, you will probably get some more work out of rerolls and things.
But again,
they have so many
matter.
characters. Yeah, again, They have so many characters that could do just as well or better in that exact role, and even cheaper potentially. So it doesn't matter.
Or they could be in a good Shadowlands list. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying the fact that they're Crimson doesn't whatever. It might provide some marginal benefits if you consider them to be a key component of a Shadowlands list. I'll give you that one.
Mm-hmm. So, Brandon, I'm going to give you this one because I think it's fun. It's our favorite fun faction that we love to play because it's fun.
Avengers.
Hydra.
No,
it's Hydra.
Hydra.
I'm being serious. I'm not kidding around.
I mean, it's obviously Abomination.
Abomination, yeah. Because you know that time
he
spent affiliated with the Hydra faction?
He actually did.
Did he? Is this a thing? I don't know this.
No, he actually is.
Okay.
I only know this because I had a recent conversation with somebody.
There you go. So there is actually something interesting with Hydra, like Strucker. Sometimes
poison.
Yeah, sometimes we'll put characters like Omega Red in the faction because it's cool. So this is actually
you might have thought, hey, just because they've got 3-point Strucker who can poison the entire enemy team, 4-point Omega Red that can poison the entire enemy team, why not put in 5-point Abomination who can probably poison 2 people?
Yeah.
Like, that's no-brainer, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
The least inspiring character I think I've seen come out in a long time is Abomination, unfortunately. He's exactly my kind of model, but he's just not interesting.
Because you don't like interesting models? I'm confused. What does that mean?
No, like he has the tools that I like to play with, but I think the power level of the tools he has is just too far behind the curve. Like, I just don't see how his kit wins. And that's not like wins the game, just like wins in general. Like, I don't see how his combination of abilities and point costs and threat and all the power cost, everything together, I don't see how that equates a positive number. But I'm open-minded. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
It's just not inspiring.
The one thing about putting him in Hydra that it's kind of the same problem as Aaron said before, which is there's not a Hydra tactics card that you're super excited for A-Bomb to like contribute to. So being in the affiliation just makes it slightly easier to play him with Strucker. That's fine if you're excited to do like a bunch of poison stuff. Radiation Zone is the best power that has to deal with a bunch of AoE poison, so it is a combo, but we'll see. So let's talk about the last affiliation. Well, technically we got 2 affiliations added, right? Legion of the Lost and Thralls of Dracula. More about them in a bit, but the Midnight Suns did get some new characters. I'll start with Aaron this time. Aaron, which characters do you think from the 7 got put in the Midnight Suns?
At a minimum, the 3 that don't have a home yet.
Okay, so that's the bundle of them. Is that your answer?
No, you have to pick one. That's not fair.
What?
Leave some for me.
Oh, there might be another one though. That you get to decide if there's another one or not. So yes, I'm saying Incantu, Werewolf, and Frankenstein's Monster.
Okay.
Oh, you have to say his name.
His name is Adam.
Adam.
Oh, okay.
So those 3 characters are all in Midnight Suns. Yes. So I'll just ask you, Brandon, do you think Dracula was put in Midnight Suns?
Yes.
That would have been cool, right? That would have made sense, right? Sorry. The good news is I think you completely redeem yourself by that Mephisto shot in the dark into Crimson. Nothing you say right now could like make that.
I'm walking on sunshine over
here. Yeah, you are. So yeah, Dracula is not in the Midnight Suns. So it's just the 3 monsters. So Dracula is in Cabal and his own affiliation with his card. They didn't put him anywhere else. But they put Mephisto in Cabal, Crim, and his own affiliation. So he gets 3. And I mean, all the other monsters have 1.
6 dice Siege of Darkness attacks is not nothing.
In Cabal, is there a thing, or just in general?
Well, Siege of Darkness is probably restricted to Midnight Suns.
Oh no, sorry. I thought you said one of Mephisto's. I thought. Oh, never mind. I thought that was the name of one of Mephisto's attacks. You said. Got it. Okay.
So I think that's.
I can also see bats keeping Dracula alive exactly, and I'm like, that would be frustrating. Because then he swings back into you immediately.
So you're thinking about Werewolf and Frankenstein's Monster?
Yeah, they're both 6-die builders. So
yeah,
/ gainers.
Yeah,
Frankenstein's the ability to do that. And now I need to just make sure. Do they have any other people who roll 6 dice on builders in Midnight Suns?
Just Hulk rolls 6. Sorry, 7. Ghost Rider is Ghost Rider 6? Pretty sure he's 6 also.
Ghost Rider is 6, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So by threat level, yeah. Okay. So I guess Frankenstein's really shines there as the 4 threat with access to the 6 dice.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to go quote unquote larger, run wide, Frankenstein, Blade, a couple of 3s and a 2. You could run 5 wide at 17. Not sure you want to, but it's a thought.
Frankenstein definitely could enjoy the mobility that the Dompier gives him.
Yep.
the werewolf is less excited because he does have something, but if he doesn't want to spend as much power, or if he wants to do it twice, like to place and then pounce, they both he and Frankenstein's monster have medium bases, so that's a little bit bigger. Werewolf has a range 3, so he might not need it, but I'm really excited about werewolf. But everywhere else, I don't know if Midnight Suns is the place I'm going to put him first, but I might try him just because. He will get rerolls on the... What's the name of the card again? You said it out loud. I don't remember the name of the card again.
Siege of Darkness. Yeah.
So he would, if you combine that with his full moon phase, right, or new moon phase, you get to reroll if you attacked. So you attack and put a couple different conditions on your opponent, and then get Siege of Darkness rerolls as well. So there's a one-wheel combos there to be had. He also gives a lot of bleed out, which is cool for Blade.
Yep.
I just feel like it's so easy to get bleed out in general.
It is.
I think you have to actually try to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just if I think back to how many games, like my past 50 games, how many have I had a bunch of bleed on my characters? 0.
Mm-hmm.
How often have I had the occasional bleed from a Hawkeye shot that's like, take bleed? Or Laura who's like, oh yeah. Usually it's Laura and Zemo in today's meta.
Yeah.
So but the problem is those models are usually killing your models. So you'll apply bleed and then get toasted off the table with the next attack. So it doesn't really matter.
I actually found myself choosing to apply bleed on Bag of Tricks over the weekend a lot. Do we have any other affiliations? Is Midnight Sun's last one?
That is it, except for the ones.
Then the obvious ones. Yeah, it's like you're in the Mephisto affiliation.
Yeah, the Legion of the Lost.
Mephisto.
Yeah, the Legion of the Lost and Thralls of Dracula have themselves, and that's all. Every other affiliation remains unchanged. So a bunch of bad guy affiliations makes sense because there's a bunch of monsters and criminals. And Mephisto, the most notorious criminal. I actually am excited about Wrecking Crew in criminals. I think Shadowlands Daredevil would enjoy them, appreciate them. Although I've always wanted to do more activations rather than less. So a 4-cost character needs to be really exceptional, and it can do 3 attacks, which is super cool. And one of them's a big ass spray, so it might be worth it. There is a world definitely where a single Wrecking Crew puts out more attacks than 2 3-cost characters or 2 2-cost characters. So I think it's possible. Let's see how often that happens. But I'm going to throw it down a couple times.
Yeah, I think the Wrecking Crew is just a good character in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like I see his mechanics like really succeeding on the table, and I like the way his kit works.
It just seems like a really souped up Crystal, and
yeah,
I like Crystal, but I feel like Wrecking Crew is just Crystal with teeth, which is awesome for 1 point. But yep, that is the news. Nice. Affiliation update.
Alrighty. Well, for everyone here last week, we went to Warfare Weekend over the weekend, and me and Parker rode together. Aaron went with pretty much everybody else that went, except for, I think, Richard and Ryan rode together. But anyway, so, Parker, do you remember our drive to St. Louis?
Oh, yeah. I remember laughing instantly and a lot. It was a good time.
Do you remember the first thing we talked about when we got in the car?
I have a most fantastic memory, but I cannot remember the first thing that happened.
You can't remember. Interesting that you say that. Let's start off with, you asked me if I was playing MCP over the weekend.
Oh, that's right. No, I knew you were playing MCP. I asked
you. And then I said, yeah. And then you're like, oh, yeah. We talked about this. You told me what you were going to play. I was like, yes, Parker, yesterday I did tell you what I was going to play. And he's like, trying to remember what I was going to play. And then I informed him that, Parker, you helped me build the list 10 hours ago on the podcast.
Yep. Like a
steel
trap.
You remember that?
I do remember.
Like a steel trap.
I remember telling you that I could not remember the list that I helped you build less than 24 hours prior. Yes.
It was like 10 hours. We really, it was not that long.
I said less than 24 hours prior. It was... I remember precisely that exact moment.
What was that list?
I remembered before. You didn't have to tell me. I searched the annals and I figured out.
I'm just noticing you haven't answered the question yet.
It was a Spider Foes list.
Interesting. Okay.
And it had some Asgardian kickers in it. primarily new Loki to do some
Okay.
gray damage in the background.
All right, I'll not roast you too hard today then, if you're at least going to get semi-close.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, we drove in. We landed probably about 8 o'clock, I would guess, and we met up with these guys playing Judgment in the basement. How is your judging going?
Judging was going fabulous. Parker had a unique experience. I'll let him explain.
Oh, one of the awesome guys that helps develop the Judgment game and organizes a lot of events, named Dave Wonky. He was not looking for a game. I was looking for a game, and I was looking at Aaron. I didn't know many people in the room except infamous people, and so he just pointed at Wonky, and Wonky's like, "Sure." So I got to play him. It was an awesome Judgment game. By far the best Judgment game that I've had. And I don't mean by my competition levels. It was just great. Like we were back and forth, staring at the board, and we just had to
go be on fucking Wonky's podcast then.
If I'm sure
if they invited me, I would leave immediately.
It's the thing. At least to tell about this. I mean, this is an MCP cast, so I'm not going to go into every single detail of the game, but it was a really fun time. I had a fun time playing Judgment all weekend. Actually, we got to play a lot. I only
saw about 10 seconds of your game with Wonky. I was just kind of passing by on my way back to Aaron's game, and I just remember you said something. Then Wonky said, "No, that's actually not right," and explained the rule. And then, as I'm just starting to get out earshot, you said something else, and he goes, "Well, actually, that's not right either." And he was just correcting everything you were doing, and it was only in a 10-second period, so I have no idea if that was indicative of the whole game, but it was very funny.
Well, I have not played that much like Judgment, right? So he was demonstrating a lot of stuff. Actually, during our game, we ran into something that he was like, "I'm pretty sure that doesn't work like that." And I was like, "Really? I don't see any reason why not." As he just kind of white noised for a second, just like thinking about it. He's like, "Nah, I guess it works." And so he went and checked it later, and in his catalog of rules, and he found out that it did work that way. But it was a really, really good game. One of the like I said, my favorite Judgment game ever was literally walking into the con, saying, "Hi, everybody, game," and that was it. It was great.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I blame you.
Cool. I sat beside Jeremy and Aaron playing games and assembled models for probably about 2 hours, and then I think we called it a night. We were lucky enough to stay at Aaron's place again this year. Thank you for the hospitality. Thank your parents. So Friday rolls around. All of us played MCP on Friday.
Hells to the yeah.
Aaron, what did you play?
Well, I don't think we built my list on cast, but we discussed it significantly on cast. My concept of Web Warriors meet Tall Avengers. Smash up in the middle, and that's what I brought.
Nice. You didn't make any changes after the podcast?
So I opted officially for Cable over Strange, but made no other changes to the list. No.
Parker, what did you play?
I played the card Wolverines. That was the goal the entire time, and specifically, I played it with Cyclops. In the cast, we debated on the 10th character, and you guys suggested Thanos because that made sense, but I did something I never ever do, which is before a tournament, I sat down and wondered what my list would do at each point level. I just never do that. I just play with it until I run into one that doesn't work. But this time I was like,
you usually give yourself the tools to make point totals.
Right,
so
right.
Usually an issue,
but this time I was like, I want to be able to play 5 characters at 15, and when you have to play 11 points always, when 11 points are locked in between Logan, Laura, and Cyclops, because I don't have the other Logan right now, then I basically was like, okay, so I have to have another 2-pointer. So that became Bullseye. I never ended up getting to play him because I never played 15 points, but yeah, it was still the right call.
Now that Researcher's out of the meta, I think you're going to see a lot less 15-point games.
Yeah. It basically has to be Gamma, and then Chosen to be the point level. So it's pretty rare.
Yeah, it's just Gamma and Researcher. Oh, no, and Sword Base. So there was actually 3 of them. Nobody plays sword-based. Though.
Yeah, I don't know why nobody plays.
I see sword-based less than Mayor Fisk, and that surprises me.
I do play sword-based sometimes because I do enjoy it, actually. But I never see other people play it.
Yeah. Okay. And I took my electrickery list with Asgard and Spider-Foes. Getting into the first round, I played against somebody I've never met before, which is probably not saying a lot for average people to travel 4 hours to a tournament, but in the St. Louis to Kansas City area, we know a lot of the people. So I had never met this person before. He was very nice. Of course, my karmic luck decides that I need to play against Apocalypse, Servants of Apocalypse in my first game at a tournament, having not read half their cards. So that was a fun 10 minutes where I got to read every card that Apocalypse has available. Yeah, that sucked. We had a very good game. I decided to play Asgard, which I have never done before, especially under Loki leadership. That was interesting, to just decide to play Asgard instead of Spider-Foes. It worked out pretty well, though. I knew my plan was kill Apocalypse by any means necessary, and he had never had Apocalypse killed in a game before. So we both got to a point where we didn't know what to do next. It was very fun. I thought I was doing very well. I basically gave up scenario in the early game to get the attrition advantage. Because Apocalypse is tough, but he's not invulnerable, and I have a lot of non-attack damage. And I want to say he had priority the turn because I dazed Apocalypse before he got to attack. So the next turn he has priority coming back into me. And I want to say, he activated, went into me, and between Loki and Thor's Counter-Strike and booby traps from Rocket, I think I did 4 damage to him on his own activation. And so he only had like 3 or 4 hit points left on the backside. And so it was just like, okay, cool. Thor activates, pounces into him. You've already burned Brace, then throws the size 4, and it was like, okay, Apocalypse is dead. I guess I'm going to spend my 2 attacks into Colossus. And so I was like, immediately, I was like, he was just dead. And so that was great, but I was behind by 6 points. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm going to have to really lock it in because I only have 3 models. Because he had already killed one of my people. And so I was just not able to close it out. He had we were playing Meteors and Alien Ship. And he had an amazing activation where I had intentionally not attacked Magic because she only had 1 power and she was standing, and all 3 of my characters were healthy. So I had 1 character on each of the meteors, and Magic was standing on my meteor next to Loki. And so I was like, all right, well, even if she attacks me, she probably won't do that much damage because she only has mystic attacks, really. And she doesn't have enough power to get to the other point and try and flip both. So I was like, I just will leave her alone and then kill her after she activates. So she activates, overflips me, walks medium, and attacks Mighty Thor. Does 3 damage, pays 2 to place on the other point, and overflips Mighty Thor on that point. And I'm like, you've got to be fucking shitting me. Like, that's a 4 victory point swing. So like, all right, this is why we activate Loki last, because he's a medium mover, and he can fix this.
Long mover.
Rolls... Long mover, sorry, I meant long mover, you're correct. Bricks the roll and takes the damage, doesn't overflip an uncontested point, and then I put down the medium mover, and because of the train and where Magic is standing, I can't actually get to the other spot with 1 move. So I can't even move over there and attack and daze her and overflip it, and he's got Colossus and Magic now on the middle point. And so I'm like, well, I have to walk over there and roll 3 hits anyway. It's like, fuck it. Like, I'll just stay here. Like, so it's like, she overscored 4 victory points, and it was just too much for me to come back from. But we had a fun game. That was my round 1.
That does sound like a really fun game. My first round was actually on, my first round was against Josh from Muse, and I owed him because every single time we've now played alternating MCP and Judgment tournaments. Every single MCP and Judgment tournament we've been to together, we have played in them. I've won an MCP. Sorry. First, he beat me in a Judgment. Then I won an MCP. Then he beat me in a Judgment. This was just like a week prior. And so now I'm playing him in MCP again. And so
basically, you just win all the MCP games.
I have won currently the MCP games. And so I played into him. He's playing his Black Bolt list. And his Black Bolt list is designed with Zemo to kind of turtle. So he uses Quicksilver to grab to steal the extract, and he basically is turtling everybody on its gamma. So he's turtling everybody on his back gamma. So he has 5 characters on his back gamma. So he gets all the rerolls, all of his Inhumans, and he's going to use Black Bolt to bodyguard and Crimson Dynamo to shut me down. And I got Wolverines off with Logan with enough power on his characters, and I beamed them all. I had and so Wolverines dazed 3 characters and KO'd 1 with Logan's activation, and then Laura activated and dazed the last 2 or last 1. Yeah. So Wolverines dazed or KO'd his entire list. It was like turn 3, and that was pretty much it. He couldn't come back from that. I mean, who could? Wolverines, most OP card ever.
Wolverines. Too strong.
Yeah. But yeah, it was. He did exactly the right thing. He was like, I think I can do this if I just make him come to me, and it was a good idea. It just didn't work. Wolverines went off. And honestly, it was a combination of all the other tactics cards meant to keep me alive. So things like Brace and Xavier's Dream and Cable providing defensive bonuses. It was just a little too much for him to kill Wolverine and X-23 on that crucial Wolverine's turn, and that's when it happened.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how crucial was Wolverines to winning that game for you? 10 being
It was 10. 110.
Wow, so you would not have won that game without that card.
Yes,
so,
I would have lost very badly. If you replaced
Wolverines with Indomitable, you would have lost.
If I would place Wolverines with what's the name?
Field dressing.
Field dressing, I would have lost. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
That's,
and it's
because
replace it with all you've got and field dressing. Still,
it's because with Cyclops, I was able to funnel X-23 and Wolverine enough power so that when I say Wolverine's Logan, so when Logan and X-23 popped Wolverines, Logan got to do the fully re-rolled beam against pretty much his entire list. It was just so much dice, and the re-rolls were crucial. I would roll 3 hits and a crit. Sorry, 2 hits and a crit, so 3 total, into 5 with a pierce. So it was just doing way too much.
Okay. My turn, or round 1 rather, ended up playing into Mark, who relatively relatively inexperienced with MCP, but an extremely good tabletop gamer. Just came from War Machine WTC, I believe. So he's been playing MCP for a while, just doesn't get the chance to play often. He made very, very few mistakes throughout the game. So, like I said, very, very good gamer. He was playing Storm with Dracula. This is my first time to be like, okay, just like you had to stop, give me Apex card. I'm like, give me Drax card. Like, okay, he does a bunch of shit. Let's find out later. He was playing double 5s. He had a 5 and a 6. So he was playing Hulk and Dracula under Storm. We flipped Scrolls and Spider Portals. And it took me about 25 seconds to figure out what the fuck he was playing. I'm like, oh, Spider Portals. That one that should be banned from everyone's fucking collection.
Yeah, it should be shredded.
And then I was like, because he had Prio, which is the only way we're fucking playing Spider Portals. I was like, got it. So I just go wider. I overflip him when he gets ported off, and I win the game. You're never going to guess what happened in this game.
I have one guess.
Okay. What's your guess?
He out attritioned you. Is that it?
No. You are. God, wow. Such a softball, and you turned the other way and swung.
Yeah.
You pull. That's what you call pulling a Parker.
Oh, okay. So I went 6 wide at whatever we went, and
20 points.
Yeah, it was 20. 6 wide at 20, and was able to just flip the points after he got ported off.
Just public service announcement: please don't play Spider Portals. It's never a good idea. There's literally never.
Again, I can't speak for why he brought it, but it seems to me like there was still a lot of old X-Men articles and thinking that, M good on pay to flips should take them all. Yes. Take the other 3. Spider Portals is just so bad.
It's just mass chaos, and if you don't think you're good at the game and you want chaos to be introduced, then play Spider Portals. Is about the only reason. There are strategies that are good strategies on this mission, but they're not exclusive. Everyone can play them, and so the game will basically just decide who's advantaged. And it's really lame.
Go wide, go second. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, but you don't get to choose to go second.
Right.
Yeah.
There are some strategies, like you would have to purposely pick your extracts. Hope your opponent plays into your blues anyway.
Exactly. Some lists can't go wide, but that's very rare. And so you're basically just racing to the bottom and then just seeing who rolls better.
Yep. Both our rolls were kind of dog shit. Like none of the rolls were important. It was just the fact that I had last activation on each side of the game where it mattered.
Yeah.
I think he failed like his first roll with his Hulk, which meant he had to, like on his back spider portal, which meant that someone else had to go do it. So again, there were rolls that were good or bad for both of us, but there wasn't anything hugely consequential. He did get to use his Dracula the way he wanted, like porting off a storm and attacking the world. On my turn 2, I went into Dracula with 3 characters, and that's when I realized Dracula is like X character in the game. Parker, what character in the game is Dracula most like?
Is it Belade? It
is not Belade.
Okay.
I know the answer.
Okay, Brandon, what's the answer?
It's Venom.
It is Venom.
He is Venom.
Oh.
He is 5-threat Venom. It took me a turn of going into him to be like, oh, I know how to deal with Venom. Go ahead.
Yeah. It only cost him 3 power, though, not 5.
Yeah. And my opponent had Warpath. So it was like, oh, I'm out of range 2. What if we use Warpath, got next to you, and then got to eat your lunch and heal off of it? I was like, oh, okay, yeah. My gameplay in the Venom is never fucking attack Venom. Ever. Right?
Yeah.
Occasionally it'll work out for you, but at least as many times as it works out for you, you will end up with more damage on your character than Venom had on him. So same thing with Drax. Or Drac, rather. So again, I went into a three players or 3 models before I realized my mistake. And then my opponent made one mistake, which was he threw a character in another one, and I didn't brace, and I let my character die to get Prio into turn 3. And then I was able to daze his Dracula on turn 3. And then basically score a bunch of points on turn 3 while his 5-threat model was dazed and didn't get to activate to basically score the game out. And I think it went to 4, but the game was really 1 on 3 with me being able to daze Dracula with Prio. If he has Prio, he just heals him back up through various mechanisms, and it's a much closer game. Anyway, I took it down 18-12.
Good job. My opponent's name, let me see if I can find it here.
William Henson.
Yeah. Good job, William. All right, round 2. So conveniently, I played Josh in round 2 from Muse, and we had an interesting game. I think my list's biggest 2 weaknesses in the game are high scenario scoring, like just go wide webs, trying to get as many points as possible. And then the second one, which is worse, it's not as bad as the scenario team, but it's still bad, is super high tempo aggro lists, where they can just come from outside attack range and just dump big attacks into your models. So that's what Josh was playing. And Josh had Namor and Black Bolt in Inhumans. And so Namor's online immediately. He had Lockjaw and Quicksilver, so he had a lot of scenario and tempo pressure. Good job on Josh. I'm very out of practice, and I was not ready for Inhumans turn 1 scenario jank. And so when I built my list, I have pretty much a go-to, like 17, which I want to say we played. Let me double check.
16.
We played 16. So I only have like one real option at 16, and it involves Mysterio, which is not the best tempo piece, which is, probably a shortcoming on my list. So anyway, we played hammers, and it's really hard for me to not give up multiple hammers. So he basically is almost guaranteed to end turn 1 with 3 hammers. Because even if I do manage to get one of the 2, because he's got Namor on one side, Quicksilver on the other, and he brings Can I Borrow That? So the best case scenario is I can just hope he doesn't deal the damage. That's the best case scenario for me to get 2 hammers. And so it's just not really something I can do. So instead I set up to punish him on the following turn, and things don't go well. He basically one-shots my Electro in cover, and that's not great. Like my 4-pointer being injured going into round 2. However, I try to get something out of him while he's injured and has a bunch of power. That doesn't go well either. So he basically just suicides into his whole team and dies. And so I think we're at this point. I have Electro, Loki 2, and Green Goblin, and Mysterio. Electro dies as the second activation of round 2. And that's when things really start going my way. And so, let me just tell you guys that Josh really did not like my list. I just remember there's this amazing moment in turn 3 where Namor charges Green Goblin and dies. Because he comes over the top and like Mysterio's is like tricks and traps, and then he triggers Trick or Treat from Goblin, blows up a size 3, and he just bricks the roll. And then he lands next to him on 1 hit point. And then he's like, well, my only choice now is to not attack after my charge. And then move away outside of range 4 of Goblin, or make the attack into Loki. And of course he makes the attack and dies. And he's like, damn it! Because Loki spends the 1.
Spends the 1 after the skull, yep.
So he dies there, drops a hammer. Mysterio walks forward, shoots Black Bolt, does like 3 damage, pushes Black Bolt, picks up the hammer, plays Grand Illusion, and then immediately after that, Loki ports Mysterio further into his list. Which is just like, hell yeah. And so, we're going into the next round, like, Electro's still dead, none of my other people are hurt, and he finally dazes Green Goblin with his, like, last attack of the round. I think it was, like, Quicksilver dazes Green Goblin. So going to the next turn, he's got injured Black Bolt, injured Namor, injured Dog, and healthy Quicksilver. But Quicksilver's got, like... Oh, no, his Quicksilver's injured. Dog had, like, 2 health. So Green Goblin wakes up with Prio, Glider rams Black Bolt... First attacks Black Bolt with custom upgrades up, kills him. Glider rams Namor, kills him. Not hit and run, but just does a Knight of the Goblin into Quicksilver, leaves him on 2. And so, like, Goblin just wakes up and almost KOs 3 characters. Like, Quicksilver survived with 2 hit points, immediately runs to the corner of the table. If he kills him right there, I win the game. But instead, I left him on 2. But good job, Josh. We had a pretty fun game.
That sounds tight and fun.
It was actually super fun. What you got, Parker?
My second opponent, their profile name was actually Coulson, and she was a great opponent. She also listened to the cast, and we ended up playing 16 Threat on Mayor Fisk, and she really honed in on Fisk, and she was playing Defenders, and so she went, okay, I gotta play Hulk. So she windmill slams Hulk, and really was debating on what I was going to play. Thought I was going to go with X-Force, and even though she listened to the list, and as soon as I said, I'm playing the card Wolverine, she went, of course you are, because she remembered that's all I'm doing right now. And so Wolverines won the game before I even got to roll a dice, because it faked her out hard.
Fake.
Yeah, so she actually went leaderless with 3 models, and I played as wide as I could with my standard Wolverines setup of Cyclops, Logan, and Laura. And it was actually a pretty close game until I got to play the card Wolverines. And when I got to play the card Wolverines, I dazed his Hulk. So KO'd / dazed the Hulk, and dazed Ghost Rider and Namor. Yeah, I got all 3 of his models with Wolverines between the 2 characters. So, and to answer your question, Aaron, before you ask it, yes, if I did not have Wolverines, I would have lost potentially that game. Wolverines was the reason why I won that game as well, twice over.
I have not had enough beers to have this conversation.
My favorite part is the double fake of my opponent assumed I wasn't dumb enough to play Wolverine, so they played the wrong list. That's the real power of Wolverines.
Oh, of course. Right. I forgot he was spending 11 points on Wolverines no matter what.
Yeah. All right, Aaron, what'd you do?
Okay, so we head into round 2. Still in the winner's bracket. I end up playing against Jason Wilborn, who won his first game, with his Sentinels, trying to chase down my championship trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Jason was an absolutely wonderful opponent who executes one strategy really, really, really well, like every game. He goes into a game, he's like, I'm going to do this game. And by Jove, he doesn't. So
Set achievable goals.
Yeah, this game was Gamma launching Sentinels up the board with Hulk. So he played triple Sentinels Hulk at 19. Sure enough, he did not bluff. Turn 1, Gamma launched the Sentinel forward. I countered with 4 wide Avengers with the tall crew of my own Hulk, Cable, Shang-Chi, and Steve One. He just rolled as many dice as he could into me until he ran out of characters. I ended up taking his Hulk off the table on 3. Off the table, I mean, dazing him. And that he was up on both, I think, attrition and scenario until that happened, and then I just slowly was able to grind the rest of his models down. He ended up flipping, I think, everyone on my team except for Hulk. He kind of ignored him, but everyone else. It was just a super attrition matchup between Sentinels rerolling a bunch of dice, Hulk doing as much damage as he could on the way out, and me countering with the models that I had available. So I ended up tabling him, and then taking it 12-8.
Nice. Jason's always the best. In other side news, it looks like we had a Monsters mirror match. Oh no, Servants of the Apocalypse mirror match in this round. That's crazy to see. All right, so going into round 3. So my opponent's name this round was Andrew. He was a very nice guy. He unfortunately was having a bad streak of luck. We played a Spider Foes mirror, in which we played almost the exact same list, except I had Loki and he did not have Loki, which was not super relevant. But it is fun when you play. Let's see, what match did we play? I want to say we were playing Spider-Infected Mayor Fisk, and we had, it was definitely Spider-Infected Mayor Fisk. We both played Sinister Traps, which is a weird geometry to try and play when you double trap the Mayor Fisk tokens. It's like, all right, well, this is going to be a really fucking boring game because you can't get to the middle extract and you can't hold the secures unless you trigger the traps, which neither of us wanted to do. Things start going sideways for him pretty quickly. So Loki ports Goblin forward, and he double moves Rhino to pick up the middle extract after somebody else had triggered one of the traps. Oh, I moved Loki intentionally to trigger one of the traps to free up an objective for one of my other people. And so then getting the extra power from that, it gave me enough power to pick up the extract and port somebody. And so I intentionally hit a trap on my own Loki. Then I port Goblin forward. His Rhino comes forward to pick up the middle extract. Goblin double taps him, and he takes an aggressive on the second shot to move on to the Mayor Fisk token so that he can try and score some points. But that puts him in range exactly for Mysterio to walk forward and shoot him. Hits the damage and drags him forward. And then Electro double taps him and he gets dazed on the first turn, which is just unfortunate for him. So then first activation turn 2, Mysterio goes into Rhino again, and I play Surprise Webhead and just KO his Rhino on the first activation is turn 2. And things went more sideways from there, unfortunately, but he was a great opponent about it. Unfortunately, he was having bad luck. But that was my round 3.
Nice. My round 3, I got to play the one and only smartest man in the world, Kenny. Another member of the infamous podcast, usually on the judgment side, but he decided to schluff on over to the MCP and play his Apocalypse. This game, I feel like I need to apologize to him. Although everyone at the tournament was so confident that this was going to end exactly as it did, which is Kenny and I are both known for dicing our opponents pretty hard. And somehow, in our matchups, my Parker dice and Kenny's Kenny dice somehow created some sort of effect, and his Kenny dice just become
double negative.
He just gets canceled out, and my Parker dice just get to run wild. So what ended up happening is,
so you microwaved your dice harder than Kenny's, is what you're saying?
I think what it is I think it's something to do with our mojos, like where they're inverses of each other. But rather than canceling each other out, mine are just amplified, and his dwindled down to nothing. And basically what happened in this game was he had the entire game early. The first 2 turns. He did everything he could to make sure Wolverines could not get played, and it worked out for him. Everything he wanted in like the first 3 turns, it worked. He ended up removing Logan before I could even play Wolverines, so Wolverines Aaron did not influence this game. Except that he spent so much time trying to kill Logan and trying to mitigate the presence of Honey Badger, who was, for the first game ever, like not a real factor. But the entire time, Laura just kept scratching stuff. And she just kept scratching stuff and just kept scratching stuff. And everything was brought within like 3 or 4 health, his whole list, at the beginning of turn 4. I had priority finally, and Laura just went, kill, kill, kill. And she just got everything. So my Parker dice turned on, Kitty dice turned off, as was Fate, and I just took over the game instantly from there. It was very frustrating for him because he did everything right, and I was just trying to play to my outs as much as I possibly could, and then dice really bailed me out there at the end. So I was able to take it down.
Cool.
With Wolverines having a 0 impact. Got it. So we're 10-10-0.
I don't think it had 0. We talked about it afterwards. I don't know it has 0 impact because he was purposely trying to
spending resources to prevent it.
Yeah, like he was trying to kill. He made Logan a super powerful target because he didn't want his list to be Wolverined with Logan's activation specifically.
As if Logan isn't a big enough target without a card amping him up.
You're not wrong.
I mean, turns out when you take one of the best 4-pointers of the game, then he's just a good model.
But Logan didn't have any objectives. While he was trying to kill Logan so hard, all my other characters were scoring. So I ended up winning on points. He maybe could have tabled me had the game kept going, but he couldn't because he was trying so hard to kill my models.
Okay, so give me a rating, 1 to 10. How impactful?
That game, I would say probably
9.
Probably a. I would say probably. Depending, I think Kenny would be the right person to ask because it was really just whatever the effect it had on his play. So I'd say a 4. I'd say a 4.
Okay, 4.
So we're at 24 so far out of 3 games.
Yeah.
Okay. So my turn, round 3. Play against Bob from Omaha. Playing Defenders into my Avengers. This was a 15-threat Gamma game. I ended up dropping Hulk, Cable, and Steve 1 into his 4 wide Defenders with Daredevil, Shang-Chi, Luke Cage, and someone else. Elektra. The really interesting thing about this game is on turn 2, he dies my back point really hard and dazes Steve 1, who is back there with, I believe, an extract. I had the choice to bring Hulk and or Cable back to push him off, daze his model, whatever the case may be, win my back point, which is obviously worth 2 points for him and Gamma. And I choose not to. I send Hulk forward to his back Gamma. I get super lucky and I end up dazing both the Grunts and Elektra. Just threw the Grunts for an auto kill and then one-shot Elektra with 7 dice. But if I pull him back, which is what you would normally do, he would have prio for the next turn, and he'd have all 3 of my characters within basically the 2-inch or the range 2 bubble for Defender's leadership. And so he just gets everything he wants, which is everyone, on 1 point, and I probably just get tabled at that point. As it was, I spread out, so I kept Steve on my back point, Cable in the middle, and Hulk on his. And I said, nope, we're just going to go down on points this round. This was me thinking before I dazed his Elektra. But I'm going to go down on points, but I'm going to, whatever happens, not give him an effective leadership. Like, he's never going to re-roll more than 1 die. So anyways, that was, I thought, a pivotal choice that was made in the game and was the correct one. I ended up killing or KOing 2 of his models, I don't know which ones, and that took enough of his attrition off the table that I was just able to sit on points to score it out, for the most part, throughout the rest of the game. So I took it 17-11.
Nice. All right. I stuck it out for the 4th round, not dropping, and I played Flawless Cowboy. He did not know what Longshanks was before the tournament. They don't use Longshanks in their meta. And then upon seeing his username, did not realize that would be a public message. That was apparently just his normal login he uses. And he was like, I had no fucking idea it was going to be Flawless Cowboy as my name. This is stupid. He was very non-appreciative of that. But he was a great opponent. He probably wasn't very experienced, but he plays a decent amount, it felt like. He was playing X-Men with Cyclops. Just pretty much a standard, just go get him list for the most part. He had Wolverine and Magic, a couple other people, I want to say. And it just went, everything I wanted I got, basically. It was just unfortunate. He was learning what Electro and Loki and Green Goblin do as we played. I tried to give as much heads up about interactions and stuff, and like telling him, hey, if you do this, this is going to happen. It's like, and he was kind of got it, but like he did not know how to play into it. So he's kind of like discovering the landmines as he walked. And so it's just hard when you don't know how to counter things in advance. And then, my guys just started exploding his dudes. And we played a fun little game. He was an amazing opponent, though. So good job on him.
Cool. For round 4, it was Parker and I for the championship. I prognosticated either a Parker or Dustin win for the tournament. Dustin,
I didn't see any Dustins.
Wussed out and decided not to come at the last minute. So boo on you, Dustin. So I'm forced with either throwing the game to Parker to be right or beating Parker to also be right. So I had a moral dilemma before the game started.
I appreciate you beating Parker.
Spoiler alert.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
all right, so this is very important. We finally have the opponent here. How important was or impactful was Wolverines in your game, Aaron?
Oh man, I'm gonna say 1.5.
Ooh. So we're at 25.5 divided by 4, which is 6.37 out of 10 per game. Interesting.
I mean, it's not a bad.
It's not bad.
Well, I can tell you, Brothers in Arms was a 0 in all 4 of my games. And so, clearly, one of these cards is better than the other.
Yeah. Go ahead, Aaron. You can...
Yeah, I was going to let you do the synopsis.
Okay.
You do it much better than I do.
Okay. So, I feel like this game, we were playing Intrusions, Paranoia, so points were definitely something in play, and I knew Aaron was, playing kind of a gobble up their points list. So I thought, okay, I need to be pretty aggressive early. I know some ways to kind of slow him down and mitigate his point lead. I tried to use X-Men Tactics card to interact with
First Class.
So I tried to use First Class to make sure at the beginning of the game all my characters are spread onto blue, so he's not scoring any. And I used all of them and got none of the rolls, so I never got to teleport anybody I wanted, so everybody was on the center point doing a whole lot of nothing, except dazing Miles. Miles didn't really get to participate in the game. But everything else just took a little too long to take down. I was able to kill a lot of stuff. I had one amazing turn with Logan where he double dazed a Black Panther, removed a Black Panther, and dazed a Spider-Woman with a single attack. So, like, my models did not let me down. I was able to do things. Just really, it was the first turn. I think I was behind like 3-6. And that was
5-4,
almost the point difference.
I think it was just 5-4.
Was it 5?
Maybe it was 5-3. It might have been 5-3.
Yeah, I felt like I was pretty far behind on that first turn. And so it ended up being 17-13. Like, I pulled it back as much as I could, played as many outs as I could. At the very last second, I actually had a clear path to victory. And Steve 1 just pulled up his big boy pants and said, I bet I could just eliminate X-23.
Kill everyone.
And, so, and he just woke up and said, X-23, die. And she's like, oh, okay, I dazed. I'll get back up. He's like, okay, die. he just didn't let her do anything on the last 2 turns of the game.
People do underestimate that attack. It's a very good attack.
Yeah.
I get it's not like a spender, but like it is probably one of the best zero cost attacks in the game.
Yeah.
Right, this was after you one-shot Spider-Woman in cover. With a 5 dice attack from Logan, no rerolls.
I wasn't
I'm just
upset.
saying. Like, I had the game in the bag, and all of a sudden you pull out. Actually, what you did. No, you didn't do that. Sorry. You one-shot Black Panther on his backside And by one-shotting, what I mean is you left him exactly on 1 health to throw him into Spider-Woman. She failed to block 2 on 4. You dazed both models holding objectives with 1 attack from Logan. That statistically is so unlikely to happen.
Right.
But you're like, nope, eat my shorts. And I just did it to you back, like with dazing X-23. So
it was, there was like, so for those of you who are paying attention, I don't know how often I said this in the cast, but Aaron has been the bride to my bridesmaid so many conventions only, like regular game nights, tournaments, like at the shop, like it's really close. Like we win and lose all the time. But at cons, I have been denied by you specifically, Aaron, so many times that afterwards I called my wife because I was like, I am not disappointed to lose to Aaron. No one should be disappointed to lose to Aaron. He is a tournament player and a con winner. I am so disappointed that I lost to Aaron. I was just so overwhelmingly disappointed.
Parker,
but
I don't think you understand. Like we've been laughing about this for weeks now. I don't think you understand what you've done to yourself.
What's that?
What is required for you to play Wolverines?
Surprise? That's probably
no, a non 4-point character. You have put Kryptonite into your own list by not simply spamming 4-pointers.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you expected to happen. It's the only strategy that works for you is just click the add 4-point button until you run out of 4-pointers.
It is honestly, it is true that when I go to cons, I like to palm the dagger, right? Like I like to do really gimmicky. Well, not. Yes, I'll say it's gimmicky. Like I like to do things that are purposely outside the box, and I'm coloring outside the lines, and it's a little bit messy, and it's not as efficient as mainstream strategies. But I'm doing it on purpose because it gets me wins with people who don't know. And so when I come up to the finals or the quarterfinals or the top 3 against Aaron specifically knows precisely what I'm playing at, right? And so I lose that advantage, and now I'm left with what's what I have, which might be subpar.
Which is Wolverines.
Yeah, which is Wolverines.
Which is 5 incredibly good attrition models.
Yeah.
And again,
and Wolverines though. Yeah. Imagine if he had just been playing the what is it called? Instant recovery, the new healing card, he'd be fine.
Yeah. I'm not blaming that on this, but we had a brief conversation afterwards, Aaron. I remember we just talking like, what is it that keeps me from this specific thing? And that's one of the contributing factors, perhaps. But it was still a really good game. I was very satisfied with the tournament performance of Wolverines. I will go ahead and say it out loud now. You told me you wouldn't allow me to play anything else until I said it out loud. Wolverines is a good card. It is not something that needs to be banned. I don't think I can make it banned by playing it enough. I don't think it'll happen.
I don't think that was... Aaron, did you give him that restriction? I just didn't know.
He did.
I thought he gave himself the restriction of until it gets restricted. I don't think we had anything to do with this.
No, Aaron.
He did. But
is he trying to pass this off?
He had a little too much that night, so I'm going to give this one to him.
I mean, I'll give it to you. Did hand in hand apologize? Like I give that to you, but like we never said that. This is 100% a you thing. This is you going back on your solemn vow.
I am. I'm going back.
I'm doing it like this.
I'm going back on my.
Should I argue? Nope. Just gonna own it.
He's like,
yep,
just
I'm going back on my solemn vow. I am breaking my vow, and I'm going to play anything else.
All right, let me go. All right, 4,141. All right, that's disappointments.
So one key aspect in this game I just want to highlight because it was what stood out for me from my decision making. There was a point in time where your cable was on, I think, 1 health, and I specifically left him alive because I knew I had prio the next turn, and it was that turn where Black Panther dazed 2 of your models, one of them being Cable, and whoever else you had in the middle there, and I ended up being able to pull ahead significantly on the scenario, right? It was the turn before you killed, Black Panther. But anyway, so sometimes leaving characters alive late in a round So you have prio to kill them, can really give you a leg up if you're planning ahead. So sometimes don't attack people even though you can, daze them. I guess
Are you pointing out that he repeatedly attacked like 1 hit point models they didn't need to?
No. This was not a bad plan on Parker's part. It was just
revealing your strategy.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes, in general. I don't know if that stood out to Parker at all. I was like, man, would you please just daze this model so I have him full health next turn? But instead, he didn't get to activate his 5 threat because I purposely left him on low health with prio.
I absolutely noticed since you had the prio, it's not that Cable was a super key model for that next turn. However, when I was starting my turn, I'm not imagining that Cable will not be part of my plan at all, right? I'm imagining that he might be part of the plan. So when you removed him, I definitely had to revise everything I was planning on that turn. So that was something new I had to do that turn, because I wasn't imagining I had 0 chance to have Cable. But that's what you had planned, and I did not see that until it happened.
Oh, it was again, I got the double daze because I dazed Cable through an explosive force trigger off of Panther. Mm-hmm. So I forget what other character you had there, and used the explosive force to kill him. I leapt away and then went into, I think, Domino.
Yeah. Anyway. I can't remember what model you dazed. I did not expect the spender, because you didn't get to add any dice to it, so it was just 6 dice. I didn't expect that to sit down that other model, because doing a single damage to Cable with it, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool, so I don't get Cable. But the other model also got shut down.
I had Mantle, so I had full rerolls. You're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not wrong.
But again, that's the thing. I expected to have more, and I had 2 less models all of a sudden, and now I'm really, yeah, it was a good move.
All right.
What do you? I do have one question for Aaron. Are you going to bring that badass terrain that you won to the shop? We're going to get to see it, or is it going to?
I have some judgment models to paint first, and then I intend on putting that together. Yes.
Okay, awesome. I am excited to see it on a tournament table sometime. I think it'll be really cool.
Okay. Have you opened it yet?
No.
Can you please take a picture of it? Only if it has an exposed back that is not like finished, and send it to Kenny just to trigger him.
Sure.
If it's like the fountain where it's just got like open sprue back.
Yeah.
I know he really likes those. So Aaron, actually, this is more for Parker. Would a Doctor Strange have been better than Cable against you? What do you think? Because he's got like.
I did not play Cable into him. I played wide.
Well, I know, but if he had access to Doctor Strange, would that have changed your guys' matchup at all?
On that game, no, because you needed more bodies, I think. So I think taking a 5-pointer from his perspective was probably.
So you wouldn't have played anything differently if he had Doctor Strange available.
Probably not.
Damn it.
The only reason why I wanted bodies too, but the only reason I went with the 5 is that I wanted to try to get a safe extract. And so that's why I went with Cable. But it was more bodies were better on that for sure.
Yeah. Well, that wraps up the event. Congrats, Aaron. Good job.
Thank you.
I would say overall, I was pretty impressed with the crew that showed up. It was a lot of fun people to play. I think we had a pretty great community there at Warfare. So, looking back, would you guys have made any adjustments to your rosters, or do you have any observations you made throughout the event on what they were good at, what they were bad at?
I mean, with a perfect wand, I would have definitely, gotten the new Weapon X in there and seen how that goes. Mm-hmm. If I'm absolutely playing Wolverines every turn, the ability to go down to a 3-pointer would have been enormous.
Well, I just think Weapon X is a good model in general. The problem is Logan is an unbelievable model.
Yeah. It's not like spending 1 more point for Logan is a terrible, terrible problem. It is not. Yeah. It is specifically just an issue for points. Like if I really want to do something specifically with the points. So just having a little bit more flexibility of having a second Logan that's 3 points, I think would have been really cool to see. Again, it would have just been interesting to see. I don't know if it automatically wins or I would have always, windmill slammed him. But
it's just strange to me that Logan is the go-to with the concept of I'm trying to maximize Wolverines, because Wolverine's, I mean, obviously it requires the proximity with another model. Logan not only has the counter synergy of no rerolls, but if he takes mystic damage, he does AoE damage to your own team. There seems to just be a lot of scornergy or counter synergy with that interaction. And I'm not saying you're wrong, because Logan's incredible. And so that's like the counterpoint, right? It's like, but Logan better. Like, I get that. It just surprises me, is all I'm saying.
I stared at it a lot, and one of the main reasons why I kept away from it, or rather I went with it, is I did play OG Logan with the Wolverines a while ago, and I never seem to have enough power. Now, there's Cyclops to give him power, and his power is now cheaper. Maybe it works. But
well, it's not like Logan gets any more power than Wolverine does.
Yes, but Logan gets
to spends less.
Right. He spends less, and Logan gets to move himself with his attacks to get into Wolverine's range. It was not hard to manage that. It wasn't even hard to do attacks and still be within 2 of Laura once I was done. And it didn't. Also, something that happened in the games is that as the game went on, Logan gets better, because as models are dying, he just gets to attack more. And healing factor when your opponent doesn't have as much stuff to knock him down automatically. So Wolverine does not do that, right? Wolverine actually he's pretty solid all the game, but Logan's stock actually goes up as the game goes on. Something I found, that even though Wolverine's was played, I still get rerolls later because Logan's still around now, maybe being all by himself.
Aaron, did you have any thoughts on your list? You happy with what you brought?
I would not change anything. Clearly went 4-0, so we're good. I played wide twice and tall twice, so they both came in handy. The only model I didn't play at all was Ghost Spider, and that's only because the secures I got were demons, gamma, intrusions, and spider portals. So if we get Infinity Formula or one of the sit-on Ds, I think she comes out. But just a factor of what we got, she didn't play. Everyone else came to play, and they did good jobs. So
cool. The one thing I noticed with my Spider Foes list is that the gimmicky trap damage is not that gimmicky. There's a lot of fucking damage. I was really surprised how I was easily winning attrition in every game and then losing scenario because I was too cowardly to stand on points most of the time. Because I think a fair amount of it, I was just like, I just didn't want to get attacked. And I probably could have been more assertive in how I position my models to not give up points. But man, I was like out attritioning Inhumans and Apocalypse and all kinds of stuff. And it never seemed to be that my problem was losing fights. It was just that I was, the 2 games I lost, I got a little too behind on scenario. And I shouldn't have given my opponent as much of a cushion as I did. And if I was a little bit more aggressive about my positioning, it probably wouldn't have gone down that way. And so I was just impressed at how well my list fights with people. Because it's just so much damage. And like Loki's nice, but he's honestly a small part of it. It's mostly that, the Goblin leadership with the decent attacks with Electro. Like, God, Electro is so nuts. How is that model not in like half of rosters? That model is stupid.
Tell me more. Like, what do you like so much about him?
Well, he's just like, surprised I've shocked half your team, which is just cool on its own. But when you've got a bunch of 4-point to 5-point models, it's more relevant because it's really hard to one-round somebody when you're shocked if they've got like 7 hit points and decent defensive stats. And when you're taking damage on top of it, like every time you attack Electro, you take a damage and shock. And then if you move within range of Electro, he gets to counterstrike you. If you move within range of Mysterio, he gets to counterstrike you. If you move within range of Goblin, he gets to throw shit at you. And then Loki on top of it is, if you move into the wrong spot, you're randomly rooted, and then Loki disappears, which is pretty cool. Also, obviously, all of the counter damage for the attacking is great. But then they just have like enough good attacks. Like you got good mystic attacks with Loki. You got energy and physical with the rest of the guys. It's just, there's just a lot of constant damage. They don't have a lot of burst. Like they're not just going to like point at somebody and explode them. But like, turns out when all your models have 3 damage on them already from Sinister Traps or Electro or Loki or whatever it happens to be, well then it turns out Mysterio is scary because he might just kill you because 4 dice Mystic twice, plus if he hits any of the pushes, he's triggering the movement damage on Electro or on Goblin. Then he's got the leadership on top of that. Like, that was the fun part. It was like, oh, well, Mysterio shoots this guy. He does 1. pushes you into the Sinister Trap. That does 2, or maybe 4. And then that pushes you in range of Trick or Treat. So then something explodes, and you're like I took like 6 damage on my opponent on my turn. And then my opponent went and dazed somebody else. And it's like, all of a sudden your turn is just in shambles. And so it was more about like, you're so afraid to trigger any of the effects because you feel like your hit points are so precious that they tend to play very timid.
Yeah, when you think I think it's wrong to think about the traps version of that list as, doing lots of damage. Or rather, some people will go, it just does a little bit of damage, right? And somebody goes, but they don't have fantastic attacks. They're not really super consistent, like you said, like big Kamehameha beams. But what they do have is the ability to say your whole list is -2 health, right?
Yeah, just like across the board.
Right. Could you imagine if your opponent could pick a character, one of the characters had 7 health and the other character had 5 health, and one of the characters had 6 health and the other one had 4. You're like, well, I'm not picking the 4 health character. They're too flimsy. But that's functionally what your list does, is make all their characters 4 health characters or less.
And that's like, awesome. In my experience, that's really Goblin's problem, is like getting rolling. And he's like, well, if he could just do a couple damage early, then like he's a threatening character. But because he's just 5 dice, it's hard for him to be really scary. But when they can't get within range to attack him without taking damage on the way in, then it just changes the whole dynamic. Mm-hmm. And I really needed to play Trickster's Boon. That was a huge mistake on my part. Being able to just surprise Hot Potato Mysterio 5 power out of nowhere and then port him forward and have him play Grand Illusion is insane. Like, I thought about it while I was playing in the tournament. I was like, oh my god, that would have been amazing. And there was so many turns I'm like, I'm just 1 power short on Mysterio, and my opponent knows never to attack him, that it would have been amazing. But yeah.
So you're talking about when you were playing Asgard. So not when
when I'm playing Asgard. It was just because I played Asgard in the first round. Mm-hmm. It was just like Mysterio would have been very viable versus not viable at all. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Alrighty. Do you guys have anything else you wanted to bring up before we get out of here?
Thank you to everybody who had anything to do with Warfare. It was a real quiet con. It wasn't a big to do, but man, everything just went really smooth. I didn't have a bad game. Everybody was a super strong. It was a super strong event. Anybody out there who's like, I didn't go to Warfare, well, I think you did it wrong, because Warfare it was a really, really nice time. The hotel was nice. Everything about it was it wasn't a huge fanfare, but everything about it was what you want if you just wanted to play games and have good camaraderie. And everything was right there for you to eat and see and do. So it was great.
It's actually just a great venue. I actually really like that hotel. There's nothing really special about it. It's just, I don't know, it's just it's just right. It's just quiet enough. It's just big enough. It's just in the right location. It's got just enough things to walk to. It's just a nice little spot. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode. This has been Brandon.
And Parker.
And Aaron.
And you've just listened to Parker Has a Fantastic Memory.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
And we are back from St. Louis.
From the bustling metropolis.
No longer inside the St. Louis.
The city that never... I don't know. Does it go to sleep? I feel like it sleeps.
It sleeps a fair amount.
Yeah, like a strong 5 a day at least.
I guess you'd call it the city of poor food service. I don't know. It seemed like every time we went to a restaurant, they would either forget to put in our food order or just be overly rude.
Yeah, I did have. It is funny how completely overwhelmed everyone in food service was. It felt like not like they were, not for nothing. I think they were trying. It's just that they were completely overwhelmed always.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I worked service industry before, and like when you suddenly get like a small rush of customers, and it's not at a time that you're staffed for a small rush, it's frustrating because you have to do like a lot of extra work. But it's extremely obvious to the customers that you are annoyed, and so like I don't know. It's also very off-putting. So I don't know. It's weird. At the same time, I'm appreciative because like, they're working and they're making your food, but.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think I'll just be happy that they gave me food.
Yeah, it's not like a bus pulls up. Like, I've been there working alone when a bus full of soccer kids shows up. You're like, I have 37 people to make food for by myself. It's like, and even then, like, still, you just got to get the food ready. Mm-hmm. Did you guys do anything fun in St. Louis other than game?
No, man, I stayed at the hotel, and which I haven't done actually for a while. I stayed at the hotel. I think the last time was at Adepticon like 2 or 3 years ago. And I didn't need to go anywhere because I was at the thing I wanted to be at. So I was just playing games until I went upstairs and went to sleep and then got back up immediately to go play more games. That was the goal.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I had a 7-minute drive, but otherwise there was a shit ton of gaming until the old men I was with cried, forced me to take them back home.
I used to be very anti don't stay at the con. Like, it was always worth like the financial upcharge to stay at the convention. But that was always at like the bigger cons. And nowadays, I think it's actually just I hate finding parking. I think I've realized. It's not that I hate going to my car and then like putting everything in the car, driving somewhere, getting back out of the car. That doesn't bother me. It's the looking for a parking space at Adepticon is the fucking worst. So maybe, like in the future, Adepticon will have better parking and it won't be a big of a deal. But like, I just always used to remember there was like the dread of having to like go to the car and leave. And so I think I was just like used to going to bigger cons that had terrible parking. So Parker, it looks like you have edged out on the voting. It was you and me were tied. And Aaron had one, but Aaron refuses to pick things, so it's going to be you this week. You got to come up with a topic.
Okay. Movie topic, or it doesn't have to be movie topic, just topic. Okay, here we go.
Mojo World.
Mm-hmm.
God, come on. It's like we've done this 215 times.
It's almost as if we've done it 215
times. I mean, you've missed about 150 of those episodes, so.
You know what I want to pick?
What's that?
I kind of want to just go with just something we've never tried before.
Oh, God.
But it's so obvious. It's right there. Mm-hmm. But maybe we just can't. That's why I'm going to throw it out there anyway. Westerns. Can we do Westerns?
I thought we did do Westerns.
We never, ever have.
You are so wrong.
We never, ever have.
Oh, my God.
Who is wrong? You're saying Parker's wrong, correct?
Absolutely.
That's what I thought.
Did we do a Western? When did we do Westerns?
Parker has the best memory.
I have the best memory, but I can't remember.
I don't see. So I don't know if maybe we did it before we changed to the new format. It's not showing here, or it's too old.
Okay, maybe it was one of the original ones, and it's just been that long ago. I don't think we ever did it because there was always too many people there was always someone who said, I don't know any Westerns, and so it got vetoed. I'll go back.
Not finding it. I thought for sure we had, though. Maybe I'm just remembering a lot of Western movies from Val Kilmer and Alan Rickman when we did those.
I know I picked Quick and the Dead once, and I would not have picked that if it was not a Western.
I know I picked Unforgiven once, but I don't remember what the circumstances was.
Yeah, I don't think it was a Western topic, though. Parker chose...
I went through at one point and recorded. I went back through the old channel where you put them and
posted them so we could search it.
Nope, I wrote them in an Excel file. And I can't fucking find out which one I set it in.
For some reason, it's not like showing me my posts.
Oh,
which is
okay.
really
I got them
annoying.
here.
Oh, you found them?
Yep.
Is there Western?
Hold on. No.
That's what I thought. I think we never.
So
did
for
one.
some reason, it's not when I'm doing the search in Discord. It's not showing me posts I've made because I'm posting stuff that I've definitely done before, and it's not coming up.
So in the infamous.
No, you are cleared in fucking hot.
Okay, that's my choice. Let's see if we can pick 3 westerns you've ever seen.
I don't know if I can get to 3. I'll try. I really don't. I haven't seen that many.
I think this is why we didn't do it before. Is because.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can name 3. I just don't know that I would ever say them as like picks I have. Let's see.
And I love too many to mention. I love so many.
Right. Oh, well, hold on. Well, we'll see what you allow me to say.
Okay. It's gonna be hard for me to narrow some down. I'm gonna try.
It's going on the list. This is one I've seen. This is actually one I saw multiple times. Parker, guess which movie I'm thinking of?
I can't. I'm not gonna say it. I don't want you.
I'll give you one hint. Are you ready?
Can I just guess? I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it.
Just say it.
Monsters, Cowboys versus Aliens.
No.
Oh,
that's not it. No. Are you ready for your one hint? You only get the one though.
Okay, sure.
Giant mechanical spider.
Oh. I'll sing the song. I'm gonna let you have that. It does take.
Yeah, we're gonna stretch the shit out of this topic.
The problem is, I think there's like 6 movies probably that we're all gonna want to name, and once those are gone, I might be out of rope.
I'm purposely picking kind of strange ones that I
Okay.
do not think you guys know.
All right.
Because I've seen so many. My list is already like 9 long. I wish you could just tell me what you guys had. I feel like you know what we could do? You guys could just go first. And then I just won't take any of your shit. That's a way to make sure.
Well, Parker's actually supposed to go last anyway. It's supposed to be Aaron. I think this will actually work best. We'll have Aaron go first. Aaron go last. I'll go first, and Parker will be in the middle. And that way he won't get back-to-back picks. It'll be a lot easier.
I mean, there's only 2 slam dunks. Everything else is man.
Yeah.
See, that's where you're wrong.
Okay.
Negative wrongness. Okay. I think all that is ready.
I think my problem is I don't think I've ever seen a Western that I didn't really like. I don't know if they're all great, but I just like them.
Wild Wild West.
I don't know what it is.
You like Wild Wild West?
Yeah. It's
You're here first, folks.
It's like popcorn, right? It's terrible for you.
It's like popcorn.
It's terrible for you, and there's no substance, but it is fun to watch.
I do generally like those really bad movies where they're like, oh, there's no way anyone will ever like this. Like, I usually get something out of them. But, like, I'm also usually pretty good at spotting the movies that are, like, effectively terrible. Mm-hmm. And so they don't surprise me that they're bad, because I just knew the whole time they were going to be awful.
Yeah, that's not on my list, like, of movies, but, I just remembered one. I'm up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think this might be my longest list, and I think, yeah, it's great.
Okay.
And I've purposely left off. I'm going to go for some weird ones.
Okay.
Because I don't want you guys. I don't want to steal what you guys might have. Let's find out. Maybe I'll accidentally step on a landmine. Let's find out.
Okay, so there's 3 movies I really want to pick first. And then outside of that, I really don't care. But if I was able to get these 3 movies, I'd probably win. I'm not gonna, so it's fine. All right, let's get to it. Mojo World, Western movies. So I'm gonna go first this week. Let's take a look here. Man, it's actually really hard. All right, I'm just gonna straight up pick my absolute favorite movie off the list: The Three Amigos.
Great choice.
It's somewhat what our podcast is named after. Like, you just can't mess with it. It's so good.
Yeah.
Classic. All right, Aaron, you're up next.
Tombstone.
Tombstone was my other choice. Mm-hmm. That's the problem. Is I was pretty sure that he wouldn't have named Three Amigos, but you can't be sure. I knew that I did not want to lose Three Amigos, though, and I thought Parker was going to say it.
I left that one off my list for you.
Okay, good. All right, Parker, you're up.
I'm going to start with, like I said, I'm going to start with ones I don't think you guys have seen, and do a classic Clint, the Outlaw Josey Wales.
You said you start with ones we haven't seen?
Yeah, I thought that would be kind of out there.
I own the trilogy.
What?
How do I spell? Aaron likes country music. It's obvious. How do you spell Josey Wales?
Josey.
2 S's?
No.
Oh, EY. Okay.
Yeah, Josey. Wales, like the province.
Okay.
No H.
Is that with an H?
No.
No H.
Oh, Wales has a H in it?
Mm.
I
had it WALLES.
The province does not have an H.
Yeah, the province.
Correct, Parker.
Yeah.
All right. What's your next pick?
My second one, I'm going to go with something else that Aaron probably owns, and say Blazing Saddles.
I don't know if we own it or not.
What a day to pick Blazing Saddles. Anyway. Aaron, you're up next.
Shanghai Noon.
Oh,
that's fun.
That's probably on Parker's list, honestly.
It's not.
But you do like it.
I do like it.
That was a big deal. Like, Rush Hour and Shanghai Noon were like big movie franchises in you know, the early 2000s. Now I don't know that I don't hear people mention them very often anymore.
Ryan, Rush Hour's not a Western, but sure.
Right. No, I'm not saying it is a Western just in general. Like those two, because obviously Jackie Chan or whatever.
Yeah. Chan Wang.
All right. Here we go. All right. My Tombstone is gone, but my other movies are still here. All right. So we are going to go with the obvious pick, Django Unchained. And then I'll choose, it was somewhat an actual Western movie for the first time. And I'll go with The Hateful Eight. And that's me. Aaron, what's your final pick?
I want to go with Space Cowboys, but it's not really a Western.
No.
I'll accept it.
Great, done.
Space Cowboys. I've seen that movie. It was a good movie.
I mean, it was horribly predictable, but sure. It was...
I mean, it's a silly movie.
Yeah,
but...
as Parker just explained, you just sit down, grab some popcorn, and you get what Hollywood gives you, and you're like, okay, I can appreciate that.
Dude, Tommy Lee Jones was legit in that movie.
Okay, name a fucking movie Tommy Lee Jones is not legit in.
I think... Wait, I actually know this.
No, gotcha. Moving on.
Shit. All right.
There's not. He's legit in all of them.
He's legit in all. Parker, final pick.
This is so difficult.
Cut the child in half.
I know, it's so...
Just do it.
I'll let the other person have it.
The other person?
Bro. The ghost commentator we have?
I will...
Parker's ghostwriting on this one.
I thought you were making an allusion to the... Never mind.
Ghostwriter, Spirit of Vengeance. I'm putting it in.
Okay, I'm going to go with...
The Ridiculous Six. Got it.
No, I have to go with... I'm just going to go with the other side of Clint's Western career and say Unforgiven. I can't not say it. If I don't say it, I've committed some sort of terrible crime.
All right. Well, we did shake it up a little bit here, but Aaron always does that a little bit.
I mean, I should have taken either Unforgiven or Shane.
Yeah.
But
Shane's right.
I don't know that I ever need to watch those movies again in my life, and so whatever.
So it's weird because we each have like a classic, but my classic is a comedy that's set in the West.
It's fine. You could argue like Star Wars is a Western, right? But
Sure.
we're not going to go that asinine.
Okay, so here is my honorable mentions. I'm not going to go through each one and how much I love them, but this is the one I thought Brandon might say is Maverick. I like Maverick.
That was a good one. I regret not thinking of that one.
I like Maverick, but I don't see it as a Western movie.
Oh, I
like,
think it's very much a Western.
There's a saloon. It has to be a Western movie.
Yeah.
The setting is the West, but like even the Three Amigos feels more like a Western. Like they're trying to save the people. Like Maverick is just more of like a fun like action comedy. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know what it has to do with the West other than the setting.
My next one was Open Range. I recommend that to any human.
Never seen it.
310 to Yuma. That's like a modern Western, but it's an action movie, but it's good.
Is that the remake or the remake?
The remake, the new one.
The remake, okay. So the one with what's his name?
Gladiator. I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah.
It makes me mad.
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. And Christian Bale. They're both in that movie. Like no business being in that movie. It makes it really good. Dances with Wolves. Not really a Western, just an epic. Rango is an amazing animated Western. It is absolutely a Western. True Grit. That movie is just so slow and awesome.
The new one or the remake?
The new one. The remake is too slow and awesome. And then Quigley Down Under, which is not American West, but it's definitely West.
I do want to see that. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
Ooh, speaking of, I have my list open. I watched all of Blue Bloods just because Tom Selleck. Like, I don't know why. The guy's just charismatic. I liked watching the show just for the scenes with him in it.
He's so just chill, like calm as a cucumber in Quigley Down Under.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I've seen the clip with like him and Alan Rickman when he shoots the bucket. Like I've seen that clip 100 times.
Yeah.
And it's what makes me want to watch the movie. I never think of it. It's never on any of the major streaming platforms. So I'm scrolling, I never see it. I just never think about it when I'm looking to see a movie.
There's an amazing scene where Tom Selleck has just been drug across the desert, and they stand him up, and he's just standing there, and he just slowly takes off his gloves. I don't know why. I just love that scene. Just the idea that you've been dragged across an entire desert, and you're about to be made to do something, to save your own life, and he's just very slowly like, like taking off gloves and flexing his hand. He's so chill. Like the whole character is just calm and collected all the time. It's awesome.
Cool. You guys watch anything else interesting lately?
I'm watching 1883 right now, the prequel to Tombstone.
Ooh.
It is...
You mean Yellowstone?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I think I actually prefer 1883 to Yellowstone.
Is that the one with Harrison Ford in it?
That's 1923. That will be next.
You're watching the one with Sam Elliott then?
Correct.
Yeah, I want to see that one. I've seen the one with Harrison Ford. It's also very good.
Yeah. I really like the fact that it's just one season, and that's it, right? It's just we're going to show a story in a 10 episode arc, and it's going to start and it's going to be done, and it's going to be whatever it is, like, emotional or narrative, whatever the case it is. You're not trying to tell a 16,000 episode series like most serialized things do these days.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I am thumbs up for now. Parker, you watching anything?
Watching? I just finished the latest season of My Hero.
Mm-hmm.
Academia. And
no spoilers.
No spoilers. I am very disappointed. And the reason the reason why I'm very disappointed is this has nothing to do with the show and its quality, which is excellent. It's everything to do with me not liking having to wait to finish something.
Yeah, it's the cliffhanger.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, and it is. They did a really good job of cleaning up a lot of plots, but the biggest plot of the show is, they want to save it for the last season, and I get that. you don't finish it before it's done. But like
obviously your time frame gets skewed when you binge things. So if you watch like all in a week, it's hard to get a frame of reference like how many episodes you've really watched. But it should have been pretty obvious you weren't going to see the resolution in this season.
But I usually this one was a true cliffhanger though. It was literally like everybody staring at each other, getting ready to finish the conflict, and nothing gets finished really.
I think it just shows how epic the next season's going to be, because it's going to be that resolution's going to be the entire season.
But to give you an idea of how much I don't like this, when the Bourne trilogy came out, I didn't know it was going to be a Bourne trilogy. I thought there was a Bourne Identity, which is the first movie, which they definitely had a beginning, middle, end. There never needed to be a Bourne trilogy. The first movie stood by itself.
Yeah.
And so when the second Bourne movie came out, I left the theater and I raged at the movie for like 20 minutes at my brother. And he just stood there and took it the whole time. He was a huge Bourne fan. And he just sat there and just let me rage about how dissatisfied I was with the movie and how I felt like it was just, totally unpolished and totally undone, and everything was just left open. I didn't understand why they could make a movie like this. Just like everything must have been left on the cutting room floor. What the hell was the director thinking? But the producers must have gotten involved. I mean, rage for 20 minutes. And my brother said, "Wait, there's like 3 movies, right?" And I went, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, there's 3 movies." And I was like, I had no idea. I thought this was like a Hollywood, well, let's make a sequel, see if we make money. We'll never know if we'll make a third. I did not realize it was a trilogy. And at that moment, I just had this giant because I hate undone things so much. And
Parker, there's going to be another season. Don't worry.
Yeah. But that's how much I really do detest it. It's a personal thing. It's not a I understand.
No, I'm not a fan of cliffhangers either. I think if you're going to do a cliffhanger, it needs to be not where you just don't resolve something, but when you resolve it in a way that you have no idea what direction it's going. And so, like, let's say, for example, Star Wars. I think that was Empire Strikes Back is a good representation. Everything that happened, Vader's his father, blah, 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 got his hand cut off.
Spoiler!
Han's frozen. I know. That was the whole point, is to ruin Star Wars fans' day. Because, nothing says Star Wars fan like, I watched 2 movies and quit. Anyway. So, you knew what everything was and the state of it, but you had no idea where they were going. The road ahead was unpaved. And so for the next 2 years, while I wait for the 3rd movie to come out, they have no idea what direction it's going to take, but they know the state of everything. But when, let's say, for example, you're watching a show and someone gets shot, and then they collapse, and the screen goes to black immediately. You're like, was the person dead? Are they alive? Like that, for me, that's a cheap way to gain engagement. And because it's like all you're doing is not telling the story, as opposed to showing me the situation and then all the possible outlines. That's just you're just emotion baiting. It's there's good and bad ways to do cliffhangers, I think.
Yeah,
I'm also not a fan.
And I totally get that you have to have, a second episode, right? Whatever that means, or a 3rd episode, or a final episode. I get that you won't have anything to do if you close every plot. I get it. But there are wide doors and there are small doors, right? There's where you have you get some resolution, and there's 0 resolution. And my hero had, I didn't feel like any resolution. It left it, still in the rising action. I just got to pause for however many months before I get the end of the rising action.
Much like Peace Talks, I feel like this is more of an intermission than a end of season. There's we just couldn't do it.
Yep.
And so they just found the most natural point where there's only one active conflict. Everything else is kind of in a lull. And so it was just the natural place to cut it, because they clearly didn't want to touch the big thing. And then everything else was in a stasis mode almost.
Yep. And that specifically bothers me.
So you would have rathered them just wrap it all up this season and just have everything be way worse because they didn't have time.
No.
Oh, interesting.
No, did I say out loud, this is how I would fix it? Like
I'm just saying. I get that you don't like it, but like I don't know there was another option other than just making a 70 episode season.
There truly is not, and you're exactly right. And the other option is to do something like they did with Dear God, like Game of Thrones, where it's like I loved it. It was like
spoiler.
bigger. I'll spoil it for you. It's ass. Like the way it ends is.
I mean, I told people that from
rushed.
like the get go. I always told people I didn't like Game of Thrones. They always freaked out. Now everyone hates it too. It's great.
Well, I don't mind. I really appreciated a lot of things about Game of Thrones. And the way the show handled the end, we'll never know. I guess how the book handles it because I don't know if he's ever going to finish it. But the way the show handles the end is just terror bad. And I think it's because of the rush. They thought they had to rush it to finish it. Is my guess. I'm not even going to get started with it, but I am excited to see. Let me give you an example of one movie that closed one chapter really well and left the story open so much that I was so excited for the end, but I didn't feel that the movie itself took away from the overarching conflict. The 6th Harry Potter movie. I'm not even going to say how the end it works because it's a huge reveal. But at the end of the 6th Harry Potter movie, they really close like a chapter. They close it hard with a huge final moment. And yet they also leave open the primary conflict. And I remember walking out of the theater, I think I saw that with somebody, of the 6th Harry Potter movie and going, well, I got to go buy the book. Like I have to know how this ends. I'm so excited to find out. I'm not willing to wait.
Because that was the first Harry Potter book you had read, right? Was book 7?
Yeah, I just read book 7. But that tells you a little bit about, I think, when things are done well and a little bit about me. Because when things are done well, you can be very satisfied walking out of a movie. I was very satisfied walking out of the movie. But that tells you a little bit about me, which is I was not capable of waiting to find out the end of that story because I'm so fascinated and focused on the conclusion. I want to see how it wraps up.
I think I did a similar thing when I was watching Better Call Saul on Netflix. And Netflix is obviously behind like some other programs. And so I finished watching an episode. It was the series finale or season finale. And the next season was like airing, but not on Netflix, right? Because they're on like a year delay. And so I just immediately went, I was like, I'm just going to find this on a website somewhere because I have to see what happens next. But yeah. Parker, did I tell you what I've been watching lately?
Grass grow?
No. So I have this weird like thing where I try to watch stuff that I won't get too distracted with so I can keep working on my computer while it's just playing next to me. Mm-hmm. So I randomly, I watched, somebody posted the Gargoyles intro on Facebook. Like I just, toilet scrolling. And I saw the intro. I'm like, man, that intro rocks. And so I just randomly checked. Of course, it's on Disney Plus. So I just start watching it. It's freaking awesome.
You did tell me about this.
I did, but you forgot.
Oh, no, I did forget.
That will be a theme of the episode. Don't worry.
I have a fantastic memory.
Yeah, you said you had a story. Do you remember your story?
My story or Parker's story?
Your story, Brandon.
Oh, I definitely remember my story.
Okay, I have no idea to what you're referring to. I just...
No, it's for the main cast.
Okay, yeah. Just want to make sure that if you have a story, you don't forget to tell it.
Yeah, no, don't worry. We'll get right into it. It's actually like bullet point 1 for the show. Have you guys seen the Venom movie? I assume not.
Not
I actually kind of
correct.
I actually really want to see it, so I might go see it this weekend. All right, you guys ready to start? I'll put in a timestamp here.